And we're back meeting Wade Maupin on Meet My Pro. Now, if you want to get a hold of Wade for any sort of a related question to insurance, you can get a hold of him at 816-308-1641 or drop him an email at wade@asisaves.com. That's asisaves.com. And he'll answer all your questions pertaining to your property and needs and such. So before we left off for the break, you and I were talking about changes each year that the insurance agencies adjust for inflationary purposes, and then you were also talking just the general landscape since COVID. The insurance agencies overall have kind of had to rearrange a lot of things in the landscaping. Touch a little bit more on that, and then tell us about our Kansas and Missouri kind of markets and what they've done in the last couple of years. Because you got 20 years worth of knowledge jammed in that brain of yours.
Yeah, I've got all that knowledge jammed in there. But
Yes.
I'll tell you what, in the last 2 years, it's been the biggest changes, especially in property insurance, that I've ever seen.
Okay.
It's a very tumultuous time. So some of the changes that we see are many companies are changing in a lot of ways. Number one, people are noticing their premiums are really going up. Okay. They're also noticing that there's verbiage changes on roof coverage. Some carriers are doing replacement cost to 10 years only now, or some do 12 years, some do 15 years. But many are going what they call actual cash value, which means that if you have a roof claim, they're going to take your total loss, less your deductible, and then less that depreciated cost. So instead of your deductible, you have to pay a little bit more to get your roof repaired or replaced.
I see.
Okay? The other big change is,
And what was it previously that, just so people can kind of understand, what was it before? It was
replacement cost.
It was replacement cost,
Replacement
period.
cost, period. Yeah, I mean, I've had roofs over the years that are 20, 25 years old, and the insurance company will just buy them a new roof, replace it.
I see.
It's all changed now.
Okay.
The other major change is many carriers now force a wind or hail percentage deductible. Okay, many people think that's 1 or 2% of your claim total. It's not. It's 1 or 2% of what your structure is worth. So if you do the easy math, if you have a $500,000 house insured and you have a 1% wind and hail deductible, it's a $5,000 deductible. Okay,
Wow.
A lot of folks don't know that. So I spend a lot of time. Really
You'd want to steer away from that if you could, from a percentage to a flat amount if there was an option, wouldn't you?
If there was an option, I always try to do the flat. I have
Okay.
two carriers that do flat currently.
Okay.
I think they'll change and conform to what the industry is doing actually into the percentage market. But those are real changes in the last 15 months.
Wow. And that's why people want to contact you, is because you're going to be able to explain what's changed and navigate that through them. What do you think is also the biggest surprise that you've seen, say, in the last 10 years with insurance? You know, the consumer getting coverage and it being what the consumer expected. What have you seen there? Because I know this percentage thing, unless someone explains that to them, that could be quite a shock when they go through a damage. What about replacement costs? Has that changed quite a bit too?
Replacement cost has gone up. Many carriers, we used to do our own construction estimators. We go out and take pictures and put in the square footage and the bathrooms and those types of things.
Right.
All carriers now use their own software.
I see.
So we're kind of at the mercy of them to go in there and navigate that. In addition to that, many carriers now, post-COVID, are sending out inspectors again to inspect properties,
To make sure they match up.
make sure they match up, and or they're doing aerial or drone photos to make sure there's no major trees overhanging,
I
make
see.
sure the handrails are intact, make sure the roof really does look like it's either new or within, what we put on the application.
Sure.
And they can make those changes. And so I try to be really diligent when I'm doing that. So when I work with a customer, I tell them all this up front,
Right.
so that we can try to pinpoint it as close as we can, because I don't like a lot of changes or surprises. Carrier comes back and says, "Hey Robert, we're going to change your roof from a 2024 to a 2021. Now your premium's going to go up $300," and the customer's going, "Well, wait a minute." So I try to tackle that on the front end and be very precise.
So they can
with my
expect it
customers.
at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell our viewers the dangers of being underinsured.
Yeah, the dangers of being uninsured are a couple of things. Number one is if you don't have proper coverage, then the insurance company, you're only going to get the limit of insurance. So if you have a $100,000 house and you're insured for $80,000 and you have a total loss, the maximum you're going to get is $80,000.
The rest of it comes out of you.
And I'm just doing just simple numbers here.
Yeah.
The other thing is I see a lot of policies that come through my desk that do not have extended replacement cost on them in some form. Extended replacement cost basically is, let's say you've got that $100,000 house. and a company can extend that by 20% or 50%, or a lot of my carriers offer guaranteed home replacement, which means it doesn't matter what it costs. So if your home is destroyed, instead of getting that 100,000, then you might get an extra 20% or 50%, or if they do guaranteed home replacement, doesn't matter what it costs. So again, I guess a better example is if you took, say, you have a $500,000 house, and due to inflation and costs and so forth and so on, if your house is destroyed, God forbid, by a fire or a tornado, and you only had 500,000, but Robert's Construction comes in there and says, I can't do it for 500. It's going to be
560, yeah, or 600, yeah.
Then you need that extended replacement cost. I see a lot of agents that don't put that on there, and they really should.
It's almost like a gap coverage.
Yeah, in a way it is.
Yeah, it's almost like to bridge the difference.
Yeah.
Let's talk about earthquakes.
Yeah.
People don't think about it, but we have a fault right here in Missouri
Big one.
now.
Yeah.
Earthquake insurance doesn't cover 100% of the replacement of the home. It covers what, up to 85% generally?
If earthquake, first of all, earthquake insurance is by endorsement. An endorsement means you have to add it to your policy.
Yes,
in order to
something
be covered.
additional.
So if you don't have earthquake on your policy, then there would be no coverage for that, because your homeowner's policy does not cover earth movement, and that's considered earthquake.
I see.
But if you do have earthquake insurance, you have to remember that it has a whole separate deductible, usually a 10%, 15%, or in some cases,
Yep.
25%
Yep.
deductible. You would be responsible to pay that, and then they would act and pay you accordingly according to policy.
Tell us what other add-ons that you
Yeah.
feel are important that people neglect getting and later on they regret.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. There's several in particular. Number one is backup of sewer and drain, sometimes called water backup. If you have any kind of a finished basement in your home, you need backup of sewer and drain. I don't care if it's a brand new house or a house that's 50 years old, okay? Things can back up through sewers and drains, and it's a bad claim. I see a lot of these. I see a lot of policies where the agents put $5,000 or $10,000 on it. That's not enough. If you have to hire a big box company to come in there and clean all that out, put dryer fans down there, it's going to be a $10,000 bill
Wow.
to walk in the door.
Wow.
That doesn't leave you any money to replace your carpeting, your drywall, your paint, your furniture that might be destroyed in
Sure.
your claim. So I always pay particular attention to that. The second endorsement I always am a huge believer in, and that is called service line. So you as a homeowner are responsible for utilities, water, sewer, electrical, which goes from your front door to the street where it connects to the city. Well, we can't see that. If you've ever driven down the street and seen a backhoe in somebody's front yard, they're digging it out,
Right.
they're replacing a water line.
Yeah.
Because it ruptured or froze or cracked, or
Sure.
what have you. A lot of agents don't put that on policy. I do. The average cost to replace that in Kansas City is about $8,000. Coverage
Wow.
starts at 10.
Wow.
Okay, so, and in that coverage, they're going to replace that water line. They won't fix it. They're going to replace it. It also has coverage to replace the sidewalk if they have to jack that up.
Okay.
Shrubbery, anything that is damaged right there comes out of that coverage.
Okay.
It's a big coverage. The third one that I have been using a lot is called undamaged siding or roofing. So the number one claim in the Midwest is hail and high wind.
Right.
Hail normally is wind driven. Okay, so you got a house shaped this way, wind knocks hail into your house, right? Well, this slope is damaged, but the other one's not damaged. What happens then? The insurance policy, the insurance carrier is only responsible to cover that which is damaged, which would be that front slope.
I see.
So homeowners going, well, what about the back slope? It's not going to match up. And that's where people saying, man, my insurance company didn't do me right or what have you. I put an endorsement on there, undamaged siding and roofing of extra coverage. That way, if you have one slope only that's damaged, you have enough money to replace the entire roof, not just the one side.
I see.
And let me tell you, customers are really pleased with me when they find out they have that on there when they have a claim. Because there's no question that they're going to cover it if you have that extra endorsement on there.
Right on.
So yeah, I'm a big believer in those three.
That's these are the details that people want to know about. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So
And this is how I have a lot of conversations with my customers. Hey, I want to tell you something that you don't have now that I'm a big believer in. We spend a lot of time talking about that. It's important.
making it available to them so they can make an educated decision.
Information education, that's huge today. I think a lot of agents have a district manager trying to beat them over the head, quote, 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 sell, sell, sell. I don't have that. I've been self-employed now for 26 years. I don't have that. It's me. But I spend a lot of time trying to get it right and spending a lot of time educating customers so they can make that informed decision. And I think that's probably helped my business. I've retained business over the years.
Well, you definitely come off as if you enjoy being able to provide that knowledge to people. And we're going to find out more about that knowledge he's provided over the last 2 decades plus. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a minute to learn more about Wade Maupin and what makes him tick.